Hello, cyberspace. It's me, Angie, and I welcome both you and your ears to an episode of Life, Love, Music, and Space Travel. In case you're wondering who Angie is, I'm Angie, and I'm super stoked to spend some time sharing with y'all some of my experiences and thoughts on living, loving, music, and space travel, or spiritual experiences as I often refer to as space travel. A rather broad spectrum, right? Well, my hope is to always share something that resonates with, intrigues, excites, or perhaps inspires you. On that note, I invite you to sit back, buckle up, and take a little trip out into the cosmos with me. Hello, cyberspace. It's me, Angie, coming to you with episode number 37 of my podcast, Life, Love, Music, and Space Travel. I really am legitimately surprised almost every time I say the episode number, episode 37. And I'm actually kind of coming up, it's next month, but I'm coming up on a year since my first episode. Holy crapinoli. The coolest thing I've done in a long time. Anyway, that being said, I want to thank everybody for listening. Thanks to everyone who has joined me thus far on this journey, who has supported me, and who happens to be listening today, or whenever it is that you might be listening to this episode. Thanks for sharing your time with me. And here we go. So this week's episode is kind of going to be focused on work. I'm calling it Workie. That's how I think of work. My nickname for employment, whatever it is I'm doing to bring in cashola. Workie. The last few weeks, actually it's been a while since I've kind of been on this strange work journey, but the last few weeks have been interesting for me. I have had some strange financial fear creeping in, and it's caused me to make some decisions that are really fucking with me, messing with my mind and throwing me off of my, I'll call it my authentic work path. I have been, quote, working very hard at trying to live an authentic work life. And this last few weeks has just been, I've been super off balance. So for any of you who might not have listened before, I'll just briefly say I am in a whole new place in my life. I am now, I'll call it a year into my new life. Been divorced for a couple years now, but actually still lived with the ex-husband up until a year after we were divorced. So it's now been a year that we have been living apart officially. He went one way, I came another way. And I'm living with my parents. I can hardly believe it's been a year already. But yeah, I'm 51, living with mom and dad, and truly enjoying almost every minute of it. I'm pretty sure they'd say the same thing. It's been an interesting social experiment. I'm here with the folks. My brother's actually here. So the four of us are cohabitating for the first time in quite a while. What it's done for me is it's allowed me to kind of take a breath, especially in regards to the work world. I'm in a whole new place in my life. I never thought I'd be here. I didn't think I'd be divorced. I didn't think I'd be starting off in a new place at 51 back in Colorado, which is where I had lived for 27 years. I had a work life. I've been in the service industry for 35 plus years, waiting tables. I had two great jobs. I worked at a diner. I was working at my buddy's World Market and Kitchen, Pickled. So the Eagle Diner and Pickled. Thank you. I was also catering with Red Maple, who I really miss. I miss all of them. I have also had an eBay business for the last at least 15 years, but had never really done it full time. Was doing it part-time-ish. And was bringing in money, had a lot of inventory, had most of the stuff listed. I just had this work life. Everything was kind of set. And then, not that it happened overnight, flashing forward, here I am in a new place, thinking about doing things differently. When I first got here, I took off quite a bit of time. I'm pretty sure that this episode will resonate with a lot of you. I know I'm not the only one starting over in the work world, starting over for all kinds of reasons, moving different places for reasons. Maybe you're living with your parents to help them out. Maybe you're also going through divorce, loss, whatever it is, these changes where all of a sudden we end up somewhere we did not think we'd be and trying to navigate our way through it. So here I am. I took a few months off and kind of did nothing, really. Eventually, wasn't really sure what to do, so I kind of went backwards and decided I would try and take on a position and go back into the restaurant industry. I did that. I have talked about Jack Mackerels. I'm so grateful for them. They took me in, embraced me, and I really enjoyed it. I worked there for a few months. I really enjoyed it. I was in a whole different frame of mind. It was nice to kind of, I'll say, finish off, I guess, maybe that part of full-time as a career the way that I did. I was a happy, friendly waitress, which was nice because the last few years back in Colorado, struggling with impending divorce and life changes and all that stuff, I was not always a friendly waitress. Anywho, a few months ago, maybe in October, I decided to leave the restaurant industry again. I decided I was going to jump into my eBay business and try and further and grow this podcasting. Now, I don't want to call it a business, but this podcasting adventure that I'm on. I don't really know where it's going to go with the podcasting stuff, but I decided, you know what? I'm going to dive in and try and give these things all of my attention. I'm also in a position where I can do that. Fortunately, I don't have a lot of overhead here now. I have been able to pay off a lot of stuff that'll kind of go into my Poddex questions when I get to them. So I'll go further into that. But I have the opportunity to embark on this new adventure. It definitely is an adventure. What is it that I want to do? I don't have pressing financial matters other than the things I'm spending my money on, which I will say I've been spending money on music. I can't help it. I love music, so I've been to my share of concerts, and besides bills for my dogs and the dog food, and I do have money that's going out to certain things, but I have this opportunity to dive in and explore a couple things that I really enjoy. But a few weeks ago, all of a sudden I got this, it was just running through my head, this financial fear was creeping in, and it's not just been a few weeks, it's sort of always underlying. I've never really had money before. I feel like I'm supposed to always be bringing money in immediately. So I got off track. I decided to take on this side gig that has just been throwing me for a loop. I won't go into it too deep. It's a promotional venture. I go in and promote some items, and it's pretty good hourly pay, but it comes with, there's a lot of paperwork, and it's just time consuming. And the last couple of days, I've been thinking to myself, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Why did you take this on? My time is consumed with it. It's throwing me off track. I'm not sitting down in front of the computer and working on my eBay. It's taken me 2 weeks to get this new episode in for the podcast. I've been distracted and bothered. And I've had to sit in my own shit and realize that I brought this on myself. I willfully went out and looked for immediate gratification, instant gratification to a certain extent. And I knew that if I go out and work for somebody, there's money coming in. Well, come to find out that this gig anyway doesn't pay for 30 days. So the joke is really on me in so many different ways. It does not look the way I thought it would. It's been causing me strife. I don't want to do it anymore. But because of this, different Angie who is not a shitty employee anymore, I know that I have to work out the rest of my shifts. Perhaps I'll be able to make it work. I'm learning the process a little bit better, but more of what I'm really wanting to focus on is how I got thrown off track. How many of us, I know I'm not the only one, like, why am I doing what I'm doing? Why are we doing what we're doing? It's so interesting in the work life. I mean, how often do you go out somewhere and either you say it to somebody else or they say it to you? What do you do? That question, what do you do? it's almost always referring to, what do you do for work? Such a strange way to start a conversation, I think. Why aren't we more interested in what we or others are doing for recreation? I love it when I hear people say, when they answer with something like, well, I hike, or, I'm writing, or I'm whatever it is that's your passion, instead of, what do you do for work? It's a weird thing. It's like, are we immediately gauging how much money they're making? I don't want to live like that. I don't want to be driven by what I do for work. But what I do want to be doing is working on things that I enjoy, which kind of takes me back to the eBay thing, especially for me. I mean, I started it many years ago, actually when I got fired. I've had so many jobs in my life. I'll get to the fired thing in a minute. But before beginning to record tonight, I started to list and think back on the things that I have done for work. My first job, babysitting. I mean, I've always been kind of a workhorse. I am not driven by money, but I'm very aware that we need money. We need it to do the things we enjoy, to pay for the things we enjoy. So I started working pretty young, and one of my first jobs was babysitting. I actually babysat for 5 kids at this one point, and I made $2 an hour, or $2.50. It was one of those. How horrifying. Although, come to find out, I think it was actually $2 an hour. It was kind of traumatic. Everybody had watched the kids. It's funny, I see them now online, and they're all grown up, and it's almost unbelievable. Wonderful that they all made it, and I can say that I had a small part in raising them to a certain extent. But anyway, I did. I actually had a few different babysitting gigs. Some of them paid very well. That being said, that might be a reason why I don't have any children of my own from babysitting at such a young age. From there, one of my first outside paid jobs was McDonald's. And I'm pretty sure I made like $2.85 an hour or something, or $2.15 an hour, which strangely enough is more than I make hourly here in 2022 as a set wage in a restaurant. $2.13 an hour is what I make right now. Unbelievable. That is North Carolina. Back in Colorado, I think it's $7.25 at least hourly. And I was making pretty good money at the diner I was working at. But here it is $2.13 an hour. Yes, it's plus tips, but I will say I've gotten 0 tips from many, many people, which is horrifying and disgusting. But I can go back and I can go further into that in a whole other episode. But I did a lot of things. I worked at this place called Grossman's, which was sort of like a Home Depot, small town family kind of style, though. I worked at quite a few restaurants. I mean, once I got into the restaurant industry, I was kind of sold on the tip thing. Immediate money, cash. I was definitely not doing it because I was so in love with waiting on people and serving people, but the money definitely made a big difference. I worked at this place called the Rucksack. It was a place on Bridge Street in Vail, and it just sold knickknacks and t-shirts and everything you needed. You could get everything you needed. Toothbrush, toothpaste, hair stuff, all that kind of stuff. I enjoyed that job, actually. It was interesting. I worked at a ski shop, Curtin Hill Sports, which came with a keg. How about that? That was actually the job that ended up leading me to my journey of sobriety. Lo and behold, the job that came with a keg, all of a sudden Angie had a drinking problem. You can hear definitely more about that, I think, on my journey of recovery and self-discovery episode. I worked for a lot of different things. I worked at Costco. I worked for the Vail Valley Jet Center. I worked for SkyWest Airlines. I've really done a lot of things. And most of them I just did for money. So this phase that I'm in, like I said, I did eventually find eBay. I have talked about it a little bit. I've had an eBay shop for about 15 years. It's called Shy Girls Shop, and it is the proud sponsor of my podcast. And I love it. I sell everything and anything. I have sold everything and anything from old Birkenstocks to cookie jars to my dad's golf simulator, external frame backpacks and old vintage ski wear and kitchenware. I am a mini hoarder, picker, thrifter who's got a good eye for stuff that other people are going to want. And I have fully enjoyed it. And now I have this opportunity to really jump in and dive into it. And it's kind of scaring me. I sort of want to go back to the old habits of doing the things that I've done in the past for money, the easy stuff that I know, but it's the stuff that is not fulfilling. I'm by no means making any sort of money with this podcast, and that's not the reason that I'm doing it. I'm really doing it to get free concert tickets and such. Hopefully someday. I'm not going to lie about it. I would love to get concert tickets or perks like that, hotel stays, something like that. And that is a goal. I mean, there's always a kickback as far as work goes. It would be a wonderful thing if I could somehow live off of doing the things that I enjoy. So I need to steer away from the quote easy money, like the promotional gig that I'm doing, which is not easy money. It's coming with a lot of head stuff. But choosing work by how authentic it is versus how much immediate money can be made is the gist of what's going on for me lately in my head. I need to get back to the authentic path, and talking about it is important to me. I'd love to hear from y'all about everything. What was your first job? What was your favorite job? Why are you doing what you're doing now? As I always do on my episodes, I invite you to please go to my website, www.lifelovemusicandspacetravel.com. There's a little microphone icon. Leave me a message. Tell me some of the stuff that you guys are doing. I know I'm not the only one in this space, but I'd love to hear how you worked through, let's say, your challenge of continuing to forge forward on the authentic path instead of backpedaling and going back out of fear, per se. I mean, I know my situation, I'm not the only one who's been in it, but my situation, life situation, is presently leading me into a direction where I can live a more authentic work life, perhaps. And sometimes I think maybe that's the gift from the loss. I would love to still be married. I wish that, there's a part of me that wishes we didn't end up this way, even though we seem to be getting along a bazillion times better than we did. But this is where I am, and I need to remind myself that I'm deserving of trying to live my dream to a certain extent. Am I worthy of reaching for a dream job? Yes. I need to keep telling myself that. I am. We all are. There's only one life, for goodness sake, and I definitely don't want to get to a point where I'm wishing that I had tried something earlier. So the podcast, I actually just took a mini writing course, Gotham Writers Workshop. I think it's just Gotham Writers, but they do some free workshops every year, like an open house. And I recently did one on essays, and I can't remember what else it was, but it was just a great reminder of trying to perhaps get back into my writing life and incorporating my photography, putting it all together. We all only have one life, so I definitely put it out to y'all. I don't know how it looks. I know it's not just as easy as saying I'm going to do this and who cares how everybody else deals with it. But I hope that you all join me on the path of trying to work towards that authentic work life. I am going to try and incorporate some pod decks stuff into this because I think it's super appropriate. So hold on one second. All right, so I'm going to do these totally out of order. And this is from the Pod Decks app. I love Pod Decks. For any of you who haven't heard about it, it's a great conversation starter. They come in hard copy, like a deck of cards, and it just has a bunch of different topics. And You can learn lots of stuff about each other, family members, friends, but they're really great for podcasters, perhaps, who are trying to start a conversation. If you need any sort of topic suggestions. So this is out of the money deck. Yep, it's out of the deck called Money. So the first question is, how much time do you spend worrying about money? And I think I've always worried about money to a certain extent, but strangely, after selling the house and not really having much to worry about right now, I feel like I'm worrying more about it than I ever have. And I don't like to be there. I feel like it's definitely a waste of time worrying about it. Everything is okay as it is right now. And I think that's something that I have to go back to all the time. Thank goodness for Michael Singer and all the quote teachers out there who are sharing the message of staying in today and really looking at life. For me to look at the truth about my situation. And right now, I don't really need to worry about money. And I think that's because it is the worrying about it that's getting me in trouble. And it has gotten me taking the focus off of eBay and trying to look for a quick fix. As mentioned, I have been in the restaurant industry for a long, long time, and this just happens to come out of the money deck, so it's not in any sort of order. It's sort of off topic. But the question is, how much do you tip your waiters? I will say part of getting out of the industry here, too, was spurred on sort of by, I don't know if it's just this location of being in the South, but tipping, I like to think that people don't know what I was making hourly, or they wouldn't tip me nothing. As mentioned, some places the base hourly wage is $2.13. So if you don't tip your waitress or your waiter, they're really paying for part of your meal to a certain extent. They have to tip out the rest of their staff, bartenders and hostesses, and if you don't tip them anything, then they are paying. They're going into debt. So I do generally tip at least 20%. 15% standard has been people's standard for 50 years. A lot of things have changed. 20%. If it's the waitresses or the wait staff's problem, if service is bad, sometimes it's the kitchen. Don't punish your wait staff. 20%, the difference between $2 and $5, if that's going to break you, then perhaps you shouldn't be eating out. So yes, please heed the idea that your wait staff is deserved, as long as they're deserved of it. Or I'll let the wait staff know if they've done a shitty job, for sure. Do I consider myself thrifty? Absolutely, I do. As mentioned, my eBay shop is filled with thrift store estate sale items, and I'm grateful for that perspective. I don't like to pay full price for anything, not because I'm cheap, but because full price is ridiculous, especially for some new products that are not worth anywhere near what they're being charged for as far as retail price. I loved living in Colorado. Our thrift stores were filled with great, great stuff, especially ski wear or just outdoorsy North Face and Patagonia and everything you really needed or could want as far as gear. And you got it at a great price. Yeah, I'm going to go to the thrift store, Goodwill, Salvation Army, two of my favorites, and get all kinds of cool stuff. Great kitchenware. You can find great stuff, artwork, all of it. I definitely would prefer that over some brand new Walmart shit. Next question. What do you spend too much money on? Concert t-shirts. For sure. Because those I usually do pay full price, even though I don't like to pay full price for anything. Concert t-shirts. They're definitely my guilty pleasure. Or concert tickets. Those things. I actually just bought tickets. I bought my 4-day pass for Jazz Fest. I haven't really spoken it out loud, but I am so excited. I'm going with my friend Sharon. We've rented a place in the Tremay area, I think. It's close to the venue. It's close to the French Quarter. I went last year for the first time, and I am super excited. Going for the second weekend. Dead and Company was supposed to go play for the second weekend last year, or the first weekend that I was there, and they didn't. COVID stuff, but they're playing this year. I am super excited because it's their last tour also, so it's going to be a real special deal. But I definitely spend a lot of money on concert tickets and t-shirts. How about you? What do you spend too much money on? And I want to hear about other people's guilty pleasures so I don't feel alone in my extravagant spending. Do I own stocks? I do. I have really enjoyed. I happen to use the Robinhood app. I have just purchased stuff in the past. It's I've dabbled in penny stocks. I have found it to be a great learning process. It's been a cool way to kind of make some money here and there. I've definitely lost money, but penny stuff I'm not losing a whole lot for sure. I feel like I've made more than I've lost. I have enjoyed the process, and I feel like it's a kind of a good way to save money. I don't really have a savings account. I have never really had a savings account. Always a checking account that maybe money goes into. But I do own stocks. Do you have a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA? Is the next question. And I have both. I decided to put a little money away in both. I don't know where my money will always come from, and I figured it sure can't hurt to put it away and prepare and have something later on. I like to think it'll be around later on. And I don't know, like I said, I don't know much about the financial world, but I figured it can't hurt. Next question. Do you like to use a lot of rewards programs to get money back? What programs do y'all use? I mean, I do have a couple credit cards that I've just been buying stuff on and paying it off at the end of the month. I have a Costco credit card, and I use it for gas, and I use it for my groceries. I think I'll make a little bit of money back from that. I actually have a Spirit credit card. Yes, Spirit Airlines. I'm just deciding to hope that they're going to turn into something great. I'm braving using them as my airline. And I have accrued some points, and I've got my free ticket to Podfest, so I'm flying to Orlando on Spirit Airlines. I try and use rewards programs, or I try and use whatever I can to discount grocery store stuff. They'll offer free things here and there. It can be tedious, but it adds up. And I personally feel like it's worth the time for certain things. Next question. Are you still paying anything off? When we sold the house and split the money, I paid everything off. I didn't have any college loans because I didn't go to college. At least I didn't graduate. I went to community college and everything was paid for. Fortunately, I don't have any college debt. I'm driving a 22-year-old car, so I didn't have a car payment. But I paid off whatever bills I did have, which might have been medical bills. And right now I have just what the balance is on my credit cards, and I'll pay that off. And it definitely feels good to be, quote, debt-free for now. I don't want to be behind. I don't want to be paying interest. Money is too hard to come by to be wasting it on over-limit fees and that kind of shit. Next question. Do you like to play the lottery? Absolutely, I do. And when I think about money making, I suppose there's a chance I could win. I don't know about y'all where you're living, but here, the Mega Millions is $1.35 billion. Did I buy a ticket? Absolutely. I just played my numbers. I've been playing the same numbers for 20 plus years when I play, and a quick pick. I'm not going to spend any more than that because I'm either going to win or I'm not going to win. So I figured my numbers and a quick pick gives me 50-50 or something like that. I definitely play the lottery. Powerball is $340 million. I don't spend a whole lot of money on it, but you can't win if you don't play. And I've spent $2 on a lot of worse things. I feel like that's at least an investment of sorts, that if there's a possibility of my winning $1.35 billion or any part of that, I'm going to take the chance. And man, I would do good things with it. I'm pretty sure I would do good things with it. So here's to me being the big winner tomorrow or whoever else wins. Next question. Do you still keep cash on you or just plastic? I like to have cash on me. Can't play the lotto if you don't have cash. I do feel like everything going onto plastic, in my opinion, is Big Brother's way of watching all of your money. Nothing will not be able to be tracked for tax purposes. And I'm not a tax evader, but it's nice to have some cash. Make money on the side for something, for goodness sake. There, you got to have a little bit of extra. We're taxed everywhere, double taxed. Selling stuff on eBay, they want to now like extra tax stuff that's been taxed time and time again. Somebody bought it full price, then they gave it to the thrift store. Somebody bought it there. They paid taxes on it. I'm going to sell it on eBay, and then somebody's going to get more taxes on it. That's ridiculous. I do like to keep cash on me, which is why I've always kind of gone back to waiting tables a little bit. It's an easy way to have cash. That's how you buy stuff at the yard sale. Yeah. Anyway, I like cash. And though I have found it to be very challenging because some of the places in the airport don't take cash anymore, which just seems absolutely unbelievable to me that there are, none of the music venues take cash anymore. Everything is on a card. I don't really know what that's about. Maybe it's easier to streamline it. They don't want to deal with cash. Safety, I don't know, but I definitely think cash should be just as readily available, or should be as much as a form of payment as anything on a card. Well, I've definitely jabbered on, and I'm going to close this out with one of the question was, who does your taxes? And I feel like this is a good time to promote my accountant, Tierney Steigall. Pardon me, Tierney, if I have mispronounced your last name, but Tierney's been wonderful. She started doing my taxes quite a few years ago when I was still married, and she really helped out my ex-husband and I. We had been working with, in truth, H&R Block, who were just nightmare. I mean, it was, no offense, but it was a nightmare process. I ended up actually getting audited, which was ridiculous, very time consuming, and a big pain in the ass. They charged us a ton. Tierney has been absolutely fantastic. You can find her online at, I'm going to go ahead and give you her website name, and I'll also, of course, include it in my show notes, but I feel, and she can do taxes all over the United States, I'm pretty sure, and I highly suggest, if you're looking for an accountant, she's been really great to me. I don't know what you're used to paying, so you can find out what her base fee is, but it's DB, D as in dog, B as in boy, DB Accounting and Tax Services. And as mentioned, the address is out of Colorado Springs, I think, but you can just call her number and let her know that Angie Shy sent you along. And she's been absolutely fantastic. She's got an online portal, and you submit your information, and she takes care of it. And I'm super grateful for her. And I think she's also a bit of a writer. Might have a few books out there. But that's a side note. Maybe I'll include those in the show notes as well. Anywho, Workie. Here is to all of us finding our authentic path and continuing to acknowledge our worth. One life here on the planet, at least I think. Maybe we'll come back in some other form, but this is the one we've got now as we're flying around in the universe on this pile of dirt. I'm with you and hope that you're inspired to figure out what it is that really floats your boat. What gets you excited? What are you good at? What is it that you want to be doing because it's fulfilling? And why are we doing what we're doing? Why are you doing what you're doing? There's the question for 2023. I know I do ask myself that kind of regularly. Why am I doing what I'm doing, and who am I doing it for? I suggest that you ask yourself that question. Let me know what your answer is. Why are we doing what we're doing? Okie dokie. Oh yeah, it's Friday the 13th. The day's going to be over by the time you listen to this, but I hope everybody is safe and sound out there. And Podfest 2023 is coming up. I'm heading to Orlando on January 25th, and I'm super duper excited. I'm going to give a shout out also because on January 25th, before I head out to Orlando, I'm also having a ketamine infusion at the Future Psych Ketamine Clinic. I've mentioned them many times. And I am throwing that out just because there has been so much, I don't know, I think there's always drama and trauma, but it seems like there's been a lot more trauma lately. I am hearing about a lot of people leaving the planet, some of them by choice. People are struggling with their mental health, all of that. And I know that ketamine is not perhaps the cure for everybody, but it has been a life-saving and life-changing addition to my life. You can hear about it in the Ketamine Chronicles. I think it's episode number 19. And please, everyone out there, find something. If you are struggling, call 988, reach out to your healthcare provider, ask for help. The stuff that is not necessarily the traditional path. There's so much stuff out there going on right now, so many different options for mental health support. Reach out, check it out. You're worthy. We need you here on the planet. On that note, thanks for listening. I'll see you again or hear you again. Please reach out to me. Let me know what's going on. See you next time. Bye. So we've reached the end of today's episode. Thanks so very much for listening. It's now time to reconnect to planet Earth and all that comes with living on the blue ball. I'd love to hear your ideas for future episode topics, along with any and all positive and or constructive feedback. Please feel free to contact me at ashysbadass@gmail.com. Thanks again for spending some time with me and allowing me to share myself with you. Until next time, please be gentle with yourselves, be kind to animals, and do all you can to allow your authentic selves to shine brightly.